On that orange cleaner?
Oh, this is
I just had a doctor's appointment, took me a little longer than I thought it was going to.
Yeah. Randy, on the duck bill, that seat didn't come all the way up out of it.
Right.
You finish it up with the spotted nut.
What you do, I tell you what, let's stop for just a second. Let me just tell you a few things, then we'll get started back. Jeff, you guys remember Jeff? He takes care of our iron for us, and he does all these expendables in here, all these parts that we use. And we probably use more parts on these fluid ends than anything else we've got in the company. And we probably spend more money on fluid ends, new fluid ends, and repairing the ones that we've got than anything else that we do. But one thing I want to tell you about is safety. First of all, when we're using these slide hammers, there's more accidents with our company with slide hammers like that than anything else that we have. I mean, we've got guys right now that's working on crews that are missing fingers, and I mean it's a serious deal. I mean, you've got to be careful or you'll hurt yourself. And what you want to do, you want to put your hands, your fingers, and your thumbs inside those. We try to have these things fabricated up at the shop to where you can get your hands inside those and your thumbs. That way, when you're working those back and forth, you can't hurt yourself. So that's important that you do that. And when you're out on a frac site, it's a greasy, slippery mess out there when you're on a deck of a horsepower. I mean, this is one of the greasiest, grimiest jobs that you're probably going to do anywhere. I mean, it's a filthy job. And like when you're up on a horsepower, you're going to come up to this thing like this, and this deck's going to be here. And back here on the back, on a quint like this, you're going to have 20 stay rods to work inside. You're going to be in tight quarters. There's iron coming here, and you're going to have to get back here. And ideally, you want 3 guys. You want 1 guy here working on the back. You want 1 guy on the front working, and then you want 1 guy on the ground handing stuff up. You know, and if you get any more than 3, it's really too many. But you know, we just try to teach you guys as much as we can, so that when you get out there, you're not green and you kind of have got a feel for what's going on. We've got we're trying to standardize everything to where we can get to 1 manufacturer, and we're almost there. Right now we've got Gardner Denver, SPM, and Dragon. This SPM's been real good for us. We're able to get parts for it, so we're pretty much going with this, and that's what you guys will be dealing with. I'm jumping around. I usually try to do a class, you know, in the classroom and get started and actually show you some packing and different things, but we're just going to go through it kind of quick today. But just so you'll kind of know what's going on, when this thing is mounted up to that other component that's called a power end, this thing's kind of hanging off of that power end. The power end's probably 4 times as big as this item. I mean, it's a huge deal that sits on the other side, and it mounts up to this, and it drives these plungers like pistons in this, and that's what creates the pressure and the flow. This thing's got a manifold on the bottom, and it sucks the fluid in from the bottom. It goes up through this first chamber, and then it forces it up to the top, and then discharges out each end on a quint, and discharges just on one end on a triplex.
On these, do you use all the rubber packing and the brass fittings inside?
Yeah,
Where the pistons are?
yeah. And we'll show you the packing here in just a minute. Or we can do that now. There's some things that I actually want to talk to you about with this. We use what is called Super Gold, and it's Utex is the manufacturer, and we've got other brands. What is what is that other brand? Tough Breed. There's a Tough Breed brand also that we use, and we're trying to get rid of all those. So it's important that when you guys pack a pump, that you use all the components out of one brand. Don't mix Utex with Tough Breed or anything, because the reason for that is I can take one of those Tough Breed packings right now and stack it up side by side by this one, and they're the same height. But if you take some pieces out of this one and pieces out of that one, it's going to make it taller, because the jump ring and that Tough Breed, this ring right here, we call it a jump ring. It's taller, wider, so it's going to make this thing in that bore. It's going to make it push out further, and we've actually had problems with that because the packing nut, when you tighten the packing nut up on the back, it makes the pony rod clamp, makes it hit that, and when it does, it can cause really bad problems.
Wouldn't it leak too from down to the piston pumping?
Yeah, and while we're talking about, while this thing's pumping, I try to tell everybody about this, because this is a big deal. You don't ever let anybody tell you that you can tighten a packing nut while this thing is stroking, while it's running. That is probably one of the most dangerous things you can do. I was on one frac site when I first started 2.5 years ago. John Morgan, who's one of our coordinators, I asked him, and I asked a company guy, I said, what's the most dangerous place on a location? And most of them will tell you without blinking that being beside one of these things while they're running is one of the most dangerous spots you can be. You don't want to be around one of these when they're under pressure and when they're running, because they can be dangerous. But anyway, what I was going to tell you about tightening that packing nut on the back, that's this nut here. These guys, and I think it might still happen out on location. I'm not sure, but I have one of my good buddies that I went to class with 2.5 years ago. He's a treater now. He's worked himself all the way into the frac van, and he's a treater. But just within 6 months ago, he was tightening one of those packing nuts, and while it was running, and what happened when he got the packing nut, when that thing was stroking, he got it between strokes and got it down in there and missed the hole, and it hit it at a glancing blow, and it hit that packing nut rod, and when it hit it at that glancing blow, it shot that thing straight up, hit his hard hat, went 60 feet over to the next truck and landed over there somewhere. If that had hit him in the head, you guys know what it would have done. His 2 kids would have been without a daddy. So don't ever let anybody tell you that it's okay to tighten a packing nut while it's running.
So just don't mess with it when it's running.
No. And if somebody tells you that, tell them that you were advised in your class, do not do that. That's one of the most dangerous things that you can do. So tell them they can do it if they want to, but you don't want to do it.
When it's all built, you're going to see these freaking rods going in and out, these big ass rods, and you're not going to want to mess with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's just something you don't want to do. But anyway, when you're doing the packing, always, when you take the packing out, take one piece out, lay it down, the next piece. Normally, we try to spend more time with you guys and go over this stuff and tell you what the parts are. We'll try to do what we can today. But by them compacting this class and turning a 10-day class into a 5-day class, that's really made it tough to tell you everything you need to know. But I can just about guarantee you that after y'all been working for a month, you're going to be pretty familiar with all these fluid ends and all the parts that go in them, because that's going to be a big part of what you do out there on location. And it's also going to be a big part of what you do when you're on the yard. You come back in, if you have a yard day, everybody's going to be working on pumps. You're going to get to know these things real quick, and once you get to know them and know what's going on, it's going to become second nature to you, and it's going to be easy. So again, there's different names. We talked about the real name for it, and it's like on the front, these nuts that go in, These are called retainer nuts, that's the wheel name for them, and in the field they call them press caps. So, I mean, you know, you're gonna hear all these different terms, but, you know, the main thing is that, you know what people are asking for when they ask for it. But, Jeff, did you guys, what did y'all, did you take the top out?
Yeah, we just did.
Everybody's gonna be different how they do this. Some people are gonna take the tops out first, and you might go out there and somebody will be working on the top and the front at the same time. So, you know, let's go ahead and, we'll go ahead and take this, press cap off the front, and, that way you can see down in that bore and feel in there what we're doing. You can use that. Just, you know, put that in there, and, you know, here, do not hit it here. This is what we call a speed wrench. So what we use these for is to get these things in and out really quick. So just take a hammer, you know, I always like to get this thing in a position where the handle is up higher. There you go. Now you can use it as a speed wrench. And just be careful when you're lifting this stuff, and you know, it's always slippery, got a lot of grease on it, so just, you know, be aware when that thing's about to come out. And always take your parts, and when you're out there on location, and try to place them on the deck, down on the floor of the deck, and place it in a way so that you don't get mixed up, and you can go back to it and put them back in, just like you took them out. This is this next part, it's called a suction cover, and once we get that out, you know, we'll be into the seats and valves, and we'll talk about those. When you're taking these suction covers out, you want to thread the slide hammer in. You want to get it threaded all the way in. If you thread that in halfway and try to remove it, a lot of times you're going to strip those threads out and you're going to ruin about a $600 component right there. That suction cover. All these parts are very expensive. So go ahead and screw that in. If you talk to the guys, Jeff, out in the field and see how they like it, do they like it? See, everybody's different. All these crews are so different, I mean, it's unreal.
Even if it's better for them just because it's changed. It's just
Exactly.
This one, are you losing this one too?
Yeah, we'll talk about all that stuff here.
So now,
We'll just take it in steps. Okay, now what you want to do, guys, once that thing is all the way past there, you want to make sure that you take the pressure off of this and make sure this is all the way down to where it's got travel up and down. Make sure this is pushed all the way in. It looks like it's almost all the way to the top. Let's take the pressure off of this. Let's push this down. And that way, when we tighten it back up, you know, we're going to have some travel where it'll pop that thing out of there.
You push it down with this.
No, you can.
Another way to do it.
That's fine. You can. But you can probably push it. And you want somebody to hold this for it. See that pushing that down? See, if you've got that travel all the way to the top, you sit there and pump that thing all day and it's not going to do anything. So there's tricks to this that you have to remember, or you're going to be wasting your time and effort. Back it. Well, actually, we can leave it because we want it tight all the way to the bottom. So you can tighten that up and start pumping pressure and.
Pump it this time? The whole time he was like, is it done?
And let me tell you, I could probably pull this seat by hand. It's this thing is that worn. So we'll try it and see. Yeah, it's already popped it. No, it hasn't. Keep pumping.
I did hear a little.
Yeah. Now, what you want to do is somebody lift that whole thing out. What I like to do is pull it out and lay it on top, and then screw the duck bill off while it's laying. That's good. You're good.
Pull it off from here?
Now pull the whole thing out. That takes a little effort. It's pretty heavy, but pull the whole thing out, and somebody want to help him kind of lay it down. And guys, you got to remember, you're not going to be standing there. You're going to be standing, and that's okay for now. I'm just telling you, you're always in a cramped, tight spot when you're working on this thing. So go ahead and screw that on the bottom. Jeff, you got that really bad seat that we kept? One that's used to be on top of the locker. Okay. Okay. I'll show you a used seat. This thing. See how this thing starts wearing? This thing's going up and down. It's forcing that valve up and down. And it starts wearing here. And as a rule of thumb, when this thing gets worn down to about the width of a dime, that's when you want to change it. You know, you're going to get used to just seeing it and be able to look at it and tell when it needs to be changed. This one probably needs to be changed. It probably could go a little longer, but now, you know, we told you that to always use lubrication on everything that you do with the, as far as iron's concerned and as far as this is concerned. Lubrication is your friend. You want to use plenty of it, but not with seats. You want to clean this bore out, and you don't want to use any grease on this at all. This goes in dry, and there's different reasons for that. You don't want that grease attracting that sand and all that grit going in there, because it's going to affect how this thing seals when it goes in that tight bore. You want this thing to go in, you want it to be tight. So you're gonna get a feel for when these things need to be changed. It's right here. I'll show it to you in just a second. Here's a valve that you can tell got a lot of abuse and a lot of wear really quick. Now there's areas in Texas and different places that when they pump with low pressure and low volume, and the sands that they use are not real abrasive. Up here we pump with high pressure, high rate, and some of the sand that we use is real fine mesh sand, and I mean it'll cut through the stuff. Unbelievable. So we use a lot more parts and a lot more fluid up here than probably any other area, because we use such high pressure and some other things that cause that. But here's a new one. These valves that we use are cast in place. This is a Novatech brand, and they're the best on the market. We've tried all different brands, and this is the best one. These things are cast in a way that this is molded and cast in place, and it's baked into this, so it's one piece. We've got other valves that we use that are two piece, but they don't work up here in this area because of the high pressure. But this is the Novatech valve, and
Is that silicone?
excuse me?
Is that silicone or yoke?
It's some kind of I'm not sure what kind of product it is, but it's we just sat through a class yesterday, and they've got a patent on this. Everybody tries to emulate what they do and try to come up with a valve as good as theirs, but we hadn't found anybody that's got one that'll last like theirs. So, and then you look at the seat and tell that this is just smooth. There's no wear at all on a new one. So, but when we take this stuff out, you want to inspect these bores and look at them. You'll need a flashlight at night These things get hairline cracks in them. Sometimes they get what we call a jet wash, to where it looks like a laser has just started and jetted that thing out, and that's basically what it does. These things have such pressure on them that sometimes if a piece of iron goes bad, I mean, it can literally, like a laser torch, in 30 seconds, eat a hole out of the side of a wing to where you can put 4 fingers in it. It's that fast. I mean, it's like a friggin' laser. I mean, it's unbelievable what it can do and how fast it can do it. But you want to inspect these bores and make sure there's no problems in there with cracks. There's also a term, excuse me.
Man, that's pressure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's unbelievable. But I can't remember, Jeff, what's the term that they call that when it, it kind of looks like volcanic rock in there? I can't remember. There's a term that they use. Excuse me? No, it just, that term just left me. But anyway, no, I can't think of it. But anyway, when you look at that, cavitation, it's called cavitation. When you see that surface in there and it looks like volcanic surface, of a rock, that's called cavitation. And what that is, it's starting to wear away at that metal. And when you see that, it's not going to be long until this thing's going to be failing.
Pretty much.
That's basically, So just pay attention to any problems, once you get these parts out. And so, all right, we've got that out. So go ahead and take this down, get it out of your way. Get that thing down on the ground, get it out of your way, and we'll go to the next step. We've got that cleaned out. See, you look down in that bore, you want to get that all cleaned out really good, inspect it for any problems. If everything's good, then we know we're going to have a clean bore to put that new seat back into.
What do we usually clean it out with, like air or?
We use brake cleaner and paper towels. So you'll have a lot of brake cleaner out there. We'll have some spray it in there and clean it out good and inspect it, make sure it's in good shape. Next thing we're going to do is take this lock out, spring lock on the bottom, and there's a tool that does that. Have we got that, Jim? Okay. Take that, no, this one, the long one. There you go. And just put that straight down, push down on that.
That's called a crow's foot. Crow's foot bar?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And just twist it, and that thing will pop right out. And then you'll reach in there, take that out. There'll be a spring underneath it.
Oh, yeah.
That's called a spring retainer. That
It's been reaching that.
yeah, that's a spring, and then the part that you just removed there or are removing, that's a spring retainer. Oh yeah, this thing's got up to 10,000. PSI. Okay, now what's left down in there?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Oh, no, there's a component, the part.
Okay.
I just touched.
What is down there?
There's a part like a disc.
Okay, what's that called? It's another seat.
Oh,
So you've got the bottom,
Okay.
you've got the bottom pod, then you got the top.
Okay.
And both have the same components.
Oh.
You got your seat and your valve. You got a spring, this haystack spring. And then on the top, there's the thing that holds this in at the top is your suction or your discharge cover that you guys have already took out. And then on the bottom is that spring retainer. So now we want to get that seat out. So how are we going to do that? You gotta have the pancake. You gotta have the pancake. You gotta go through that same procedure. Now, guys, remember on this one, you can't gauge it because you can't see what's down there. And on the bottom, you're going to have a manifold on the bottom. So if you don't kind of measure how far you need to go to get to the bottom of that, then you could screw it. No, you're not going to hurt anything. But if you screw it all the way to the bottom of that manifold, that's going to be a lot of extra work that you wouldn't have had to do. So just kind of measure it so that you'll know where it should be. Now in this case today, you're going to bottom out on the table. So we're not going to worry about it today. I'm just trying to tell you things that's going to help you out in the future. So what you want to do, you want to physically drop that duckbill down in there first. I mean, you can move this and kind of put one hand here and one from the top and work it in. We want to get that duckbill in first. And this thing usually has got a chain on it. So let me see that duckbill real quick. Usually it's got a chain to where you can hold the chain from the top and then drop it down through there. And always make sure that these lines and these lines are separate. If they're all lined up together, that gives this thing a chance to break apart and cause problems. But if you've got these lines opposite of each other, these are running this way and these are running this way, that's what you want. Because they're all running the same way, these things can break, and then you're out there possibly in a location without this, and cannot pull a seat without this. So if you want to go ahead and try to drop that down in there. It's really important that it's got that chain on it. I don't like those that don't have the chain, because that way you can pull on that chain and make sure that that thing's in there and it's grabbing. Yeah. So we in good shape there, guys? You kind of manually open that thing up before we start putting our pancake on the top and put the threaded rod in.
Make sure you press it down.